Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bobcat Corner. I'm your host, Stephen Vitt, and yes, this is episode 60 of Bobcat Corner. We've made it 60 episodes long. Uh, Quite remarkable, if you ask me, because of how it all started for me. But anyway, welcome to this episode, 60th episode of Bobcat Corner. And we're just going to keep it relaxed here for this episode. Nothing big, just a couple topics to talk about, and also an announcement towards the end of this video. I think you'll like this announcement, by the way, guys. So uh, stay tuned for that. But anyway, let's just get right to it. Let's get right to one of the first topics that I want to talk about, and I'm going to pull it up here to start reading a little bit of it. And I'm going to be linking both of these articles down below in the description box for you guys to follow along. I'm just going to read a little bit out of both. I'm not going to read the whole thing out of any of them because it's such a long it's a long piece written altogether. And this has to do with Division One administrative burnout. This was posted on athleticdirectoru.com. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this website. Hopefully, some of you are. But yeah, it just goes into depth about what goes on with that with athletic directors of these colleges and what they have to go through. It's very interesting. I myself, I've not heard about this website until recently. And so when I had the chance to read through both these parts, it was really eye opening, in my opinion. It gives you more of an insight as to what's going on behind the scenes with athletic directors and their departments, what's going on here, just to give you some backstory. So let's just get right to it. The title of this is called D1 Administrative Burnout, Exhaustion and Disengagement, Part 1. I'm starting off with Part 1 here, quantitative analysis. So click on the link that takes you to Part 1 first. So I'm just going to read a little bit of that. I'm going to start with the second paragraph here. To gain a quantitative perspective on exactly how the industry as a whole is feeling, ADU, Athletic Director U, again utilized the publicly available Oldenburg Burnout Inventory, abbreviated OLBI, to assess industry burnout. The OLBI is a 16-item psychometric scale designed to measure both physical and cognitive aspects of burnout and disengagement from work. Scores on the Oldenburg Burnout Inventory can be presented as an overall total with a range of 16 to 64, parentheses here, reached by adding the scores from the exhaustion and disengagement subscales, each of which have a max of 32. With a higher total of scores, get this, with higher total of scores indicating higher levels of burnout. Higher exhaustion subscale scores, 23 plus, indicate greater physical, affective, and cognitive fatigue. Higher disengagement scores, which is 22 plus, reflect a stronger tendency for individuals to distance themselves from their work and develop negative attitudes towards their jobs, which is very interesting because it doesn't just reflect on college athletics, guys. Take a step back here. It doesn't just reflect on college athletics and what's going on there with with these athletic departments. You can apply this to any walk of life. You can apply this to any job that you may have out there in the world. You can easily apply this. So in one sense, I can kind of relate to this. Disengagement from your work. Um, Back in the day, I was stocking shelves at a dollar store. Uh, Long story there, but it's like I could tell I was not really engaged with that after a long period of time. I did that for a few years. I experienced so much burnout even from that, but never mind that. So this stats here from this survey, which they did twice. They did once back in 2022, and more recently here earlier this year, 2025. And they give you this comparison here, right here in part one, a chart, and I'm just going to read off the stats, the numbers that they came up with. Uh, first, I'll read off 2025, and then I'll compare it to 2022, the numbers. So what they came up with out of this survey, Athletic Director U, the disengagement risk um, for those that are in athletic departments, it came up as 20.33 in 2025 as opposed to 18.71 in 2022. In comparison, that's 77.8% as opposed to 61.2% comparing 2025 to 2022. Exhaustion risk, that's 20.75 as opposed to 20.74. Not a real change there. So 87.8% as opposed to 85.2%. And then burnout risk, 41.08 as opposed to 39.45 in comparison between 2025 2022, the percentages 42.3% compared to 35%. Okay. So read the rest of that for part 1. And I'm just going to go ahead to part 2. I'm going to go over to the article that highlights part 2 of this. And again, it's in the description box below, both of these links. So going over to part 2 here, I'm just going to read off a couple quotes. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm just going to read a couple quotes to give you guys a general idea of what's going on here. Reading part 2, here's a quote. Pay and progression in the industry do not equate to the amount of work, pressure, and stress that come with the job, especially when working with larger and more challenging programs at a lower title, which leads to more challenges with managing my mental health and well-being. Progression, more money, and more freedom would make me feel much better about the amount of work and time I put in. With sports moving to almost year-round responsibilities, it's challenging to stay engaged and keep up. And that quote was from a Group of 5 conference assistant athletic director. Remains anonymous, of course. But that was what one G5 assistant AD said. That was the quote I just read. Even with this, I'll read this next quote. Academic advisors, athletic trainers, facility and ops, and sports info people all need to unionize for better pay and more reasonable amount of days worked. Players and coaches are making all the money, and the people in the middle get nothing and are just cycled in and out, and the ADs just don't care. Now, that quote was from an FCS associate athletic director from the FCS level. That's what this associate AD had to say. Again, like I said, guys, this is eye-opening. Here's another quote. I'm just going to read a couple more quotes after this. I left college athletics in 2023 after 30 plus years, not due to fatigue or lack of energy. I grew tired of a business model that calls for spending more money than we have in churning, burning, and underpaying our critical frontline workers. As an industry, we have also managed to devalue education. Like corporate America, college athletics has adopted a quote unquote leaders eat first mentality. I had a great career and loved the work and relationships. Don't like what we've become. And who said that? That was a Group of 5 conference deputy athletic director. That's what a Group of 5 conference deputy athletic director said. Just really eye-opening stuff there. And that's under the heading of respect. So take that for what it's worth. And then it gets into compensation, what staff members had to say about compensation. I can go on and on. I'll probably read a couple more quotes, and then I'm just going to stop. Let me read this one. The state of the industry is exhausting, and I continue to wonder if it's time to ensure the financial safety my family needs by pivoting industries on the whole. Even if the House settlement comes through, higher education is under attack federally and at many state levels. I have high concerns about which institutions survive at all, and even more concerns about what happens at the G5 level. And that's been a big part of the conversation here is like all these Power 4 conferences, those that work, at the higher up levels of power conferences, athletic directors, presidents, even commissioners. This is what they're not wanting to grasp, is that they're not wanting to grasp the fact that group of five conferences, they're suffering. As a result, they're just suffering. They're not benefiting long term from all these business decisions. And by the way, this quote that I just read, that was from a group of five academic slash student athlete services staffer. That was the quote I just read. G5 academics student athlete services staffer said that. And I'm just going to read one more before I cool it here. One more quote. This industry often rewards hard work and dedication with more work and responsibility as if that is appropriate compensation. Too often, those jumping school to school are rewarded with higher salaries than those working up through the ranks. This is especially true if you're an alumni of the university you are working at. And that quote was from a group of five assistant athletic director. So I'm just going to stop it there. I'm going to I'm going to provide links to both of these parts in the description box below for you guys to read. And that was, I just wanted to give you guys the gist of what's going on there with that entire story, because it's not often that we get reports like that, certainly not in mainstream media. You don't hear about reports about burnout and things of that nature. It's very eye opening. And it does kind of tie into what I talked about in the last episode of Bobcat Corner, talking about Julie Cromer, the athletic director, former athletic director of Ohio University, jumping ship to LSU to be part of their athletic department, jumping from school to school. And a lot of this has to do with money. What a surprise, huh? A lot of this has to do with money, and it's very unfortunate. You're seeing a lot of pushback when it comes to business decisions being made for college athletics and where this is all headed long term. So there, the administrative burnout is very real. It's not a fake thing, it's a real thing. So when you look at the stats from part one of this story, and then you read the quotes from the staff members themselves in part two, you bring it all together and you realize that there are like some major internal issues developing here with college athletics. And so it's something to keep an eye on. It's something to not just brush aside overnight. It's something that is worth monitoring going forward and continually, I believe. So, yeah, I hope you guys can just read through all that. And if you guys have comments on that, please provide comments down below this video. Tell me what you think, because I really want to get, at some point, I really want to get some conversations going about what's going on with college athletics internally, not just what you see on the field of play, but just internally with athletic departments and stuff like that. You know, there's only so much that we can do as fans, of course, but it doesn't hurt to have conversations about it. It's like, okay, what are you hearing? What am I hearing? That sort of thing. So yeah, let's just get going to the next part. This is the only other topic I'm going to be talking about for this episode before I make the announcement. And speaking of business decisions, let's talk one more time about the college football playoff expansion, potential expansion. A supposed proposal being floated about by the higher ups in college athletics, one of which being Tony Petitti, the Big Ten Conference Commissioner, which this idea is just in its infancy, admittedly. But I want to read to you guys this article that I got from The Athletic, New York Times Athletic. I'm just going to read a little part of this. Rich Clark, the executive director of the College Football Playoff, reacted Monday to the latest format idea by realizing he had to take back an earlier thought. I used to joke, well, next thing they're going to say 30 teams. Well, we're almost there, Clark said. Yeah, you don't think. Anyway, the word broke over the weekend that the Big Ten was considering proposing a radical expansion idea to 24 or even 28 teams. This came amid an encroaching December 1st deadline for the power brokers, principally the Big Ten and SEC, to agree on a new format. If they cannot, it stays at 12 teams for at least the 2026 season, and Clark would be fine with that. Clark went on to say here, I would rather stay at this than rush to a decision that's not good, Clark said. So if the decision is that we stay at the 12 team playoff until we know more, until we watch that another year, until we can discuss the other options on the table a little bit more, it's worth sticking to the 12 team until we can come to really a solid sound decision for the future. Yeah. And again, I'm going to be skipping ahead here to read this paragraph. With the Big Ten's idea losing traction, and rightfully so, the conference has begun floating the new idea. The play in games would be played between other conferences. There would still be automatic bids. Of course, they're not going to get rid of that, such as the 2018 field with 7 each for the SEC and Big Ten, 5 each for the ACC and Big 12, 2 for the group of 5, and a couple of at large bids. Then there would be first round games of SEC versus Big Ten or SEC versus ACC, etc. Yeah. Um, you know, Rich Clark, he did have some interesting comments to say. Other comments, though, I'm not bothering to even read out because he's just towing the line. He's just going through the motions like everybody else. Just being honest here. Um, Here's another part of this. The Big Ten's idea was not a total unknown to the SEC. The idea of having playing games between conferences was mentioned at the SEC spring meetings by several athletic directors. So this is not just a Big Ten related idea. The SEC was talking about this too. Uh, but in a more informal manner, last month at SEC Media Days, Missouri coach Eli Drinkowitz proposed essentially a 30-team field using playing games, arguing for keeping more teams and fan bases engaged later into the season. Now you've got an opportunity for 30 teams, 30 fan bases with an opportunity to get excited and engaged and get revenue, of course, whatever. Yeah. So I'm just going to link this article as well down below, posted by The Athletic, so you guys can read it in your own spare time. As you can tell by the tone of my voice, I'm not that enthused by it. I'm not enthusiastic at all about this idea. 24 to 2018 format for the expanded college football playoff down the road, if that even gets traction, which I highly doubt it will. At least for now, I don't think it will. And I don't think it should, because I'm not even coming at this from a power conference perspective. It's easy to do that. Um, Another quote from that article is that public appetite for additional expansion after 1 year of 12 teams seems low. Yeah, you guys don't think? So, really, the main question that I have here for this proposed idea, which right now I'm yet to see if it's actually legitimate or not. My main question would be this, guys. How does the group of 5, group of 6 G number level conferences, how do the group of conferences benefit long term? Big picture. Can someone please answer that question for me? Because I don't think these power brokers are going to answer that question anytime soon. And let me just provide you my thoughts on this. No, I don't think there's any benefit long term for the G number level conferences long term for this. I don't think there's any benefit for them long term. With this new proposal, 24 to 28 teams, try to picture this. Okay. Try to picture this as like a banquet dinner. Not that it is, but just picture it as if it was. Okay, you have 24 to 28 people showing up at this banquet dinner. You know, most of them have a lot of money. Most of them are rich, rich and famous people. And then you set aside two seats for, poor and middle class people. That's like, okay, you can bring two of those people over there for this banquet dinner. Just let them enjoy it for one night, so to speak. Um, I don't see there being any long-term benefit for this. As it is right now for the 12-team playoff, the group of whatever number of conferences, they're only getting one seat at the table. So you're basically telling me that only if you expand to 24 to 28 teams would you give the group of five, six, whatever number of conferences another seat at the table, so to speak. This is what you're basically saying. It's like you're only worth two spots, two assured spots at the table out of 24 to 28 teams. But under this AQ model, this proposed AQ model, it would be seven for the Big Ten, seven for the SEC, five for the Big 12, five for the ACC, two for the G number level conferences, woohoo, and two at large bids, which one of them supposedly would still go to Notre Dame, uh, and the other one, who knows? I'm sorry, but this is a non-starter for me, in my opinion. And this is just my opinion. I'm only speaking for myself. This is just a non-starter for me, guys. I just don't see a benefit. I just don't. And I just think that the people that are running this sport right now, the people that are running all this, not just college football, but college sports in general, I think slowly but surely these people are losing their minds, if you want me to be brutally honest. And they can hide behind all the money that they have right now that's backing them up by all the sponsorships, by all the support that ESPN and Fox give them, yada yada. They can hide behind all that. But at some point, common sense has got to kick in. Right now, there's no willingness to show any common sense when you're proposing stuff like this. The amount of AQ bids is way too lopsided, and it's so lopsided that nobody can take this seriously. Whether you are a power conference school fan or you're a G number level conference fan, you cannot get behind this. Reasonably, you cannot get behind this. Now, I'm speaking of long term big picture. You think after 1 year of this, it's like, oh, this is so great, wonderful. And then you get to year two, year three, year four, and you're still seeing the same thing happen. Not just the fact that that would probably be a watered down product. It's like you're allowing seven Big Ten teams and seven SEC teams each, some of which, let's be honest, are not going to be worthy at all of even getting there. Four or five plus lost teams we're talking about from those conferences alone being allowed in because of the automatic qualifier. And you're going to tell me that they're worthy of being uh, potentially a national championship team? I'm sorry, but this is garbage. If you want me to be honest with you, this is garbage. It goes back to one of the main arguments that I have here. It's like, if you are truly a good team, if you are truly a good team, then don't lose 4 games. Don't lose 5 games. Don't finish with a record of 8-4 or 7-5 and then say, oh, just bail us out with the play-in game. We'll win that and then everything's fine. We'll just cancel out all those losses. You can't do that, guys. I'm sorry. And what do you say to a G number level conference team that basically runs the gauntlet, finishes their season 11-1 or 10-2, and then for whatever reason they get to their conference championship game and for whatever reason they just lose? They have no path. Those teams have no path. Do you really think they'll get a shot at an at-large bid, knowing the committee that we have? Really, we have a lot of internal issues with college football and college sports in general right now, a lot of which are not being resolved, a lot of which are not being addressed. And a lot of the people that are running this sport, they're hiding behind money, they're hiding behind whatever suggestions are being made behind closed doors by corporate media, such as ESPN and Fox, and I'm going to keep saying it. Um, I can't take this seriously. I'm being honest. I can't take this seriously. Get back to me when we don't have such a lopsided AQ distribution. Get back to me when we have proper representation of the G number level conferences. I'm not holding my breath on that, but I'm just saying, get back to me when we do. Um, yeah, so we got a lot of internal issues, and honestly, as I mentioned in a previous episode of Bobcat Corner, if this is how the Big Ten, the SEC are going to negotiate, how they're going to dictate terms, then we might as well have breakaways. We might as well have more subdivisions in Division One. Just being honest. So anyway, that's enough about that. So yeah, one more thing before I go, guys, is that I'm going to be announcing one thing here. I got to get to it before I go because I'm limited on time here. Bobcat Corner, speak up. Nice segue into this. I'm going to post a picture here, a graphic that I made real fast for you guys to see. Bobcat Corner, speak up. I'm officially announcing that. As you guys can see right now, um, I just signed up for an account on Telby, and this is where it's one of like any websites that you can go to just basically record a message. And here's how it goes. You want to discuss something college sports related? All you guys got to do is just go to the Telby link above and record a message. Be kind, be respectful, but I encourage you guys to feel free to speak your mind. So this is your 1 minute to speak up. Telby only gives you up to 1 minute max to record a message on your computer and submit it. And whatever you guys want to talk about, college football, college sports, as long as it's that, whatever topic that you guys want to talk about, just submit it, record it, and submit it to me, and I'll review it. I'll listen to it, and if you guys do that, then potentially I can put that on my show on a future Bobcat Corner, and that would be like one topic I can talk about, guaranteed. So yeah, that's my guarantee to you guys. Just go to that link that's on the graphic here. It's telb dot ee / Bobcat Corner speak up. So this is your chance, guys, to speak up, to speak your mind, be kind and be respectful, and just let me know what you guys think about what's going on with college football and college sports in general. I want to hear from you guys. I want not just comments in the comment section below, but just feel free to speak up. Speak your mind, guys. Just this is your platform. This is your chance to share with me your thoughts about what's going on with college sports today. So there we go. That was the announcement I wanted to make. This has been Bobcat Corner, episode 60. I really do appreciate all you guys for tuning in and watching my shows, watching all these episodes. It really encourages me to keep going. So, yeah, I'm Stephen Vitz. As your host of Bobcat Corner, I'll be continuing content on college sports, on college football in general. And one more thing, I will provide an update on Bobcat Corner Live, the live stream that I did last year after Bobcats games. I will be providing an update on that very soon on what I'm going to do there for this season. So you know, keep that in mind. So yeah, this is Stephen Vitt. This is Bobcat Corner, and I just have one more thing to say. OU, oh yeah, and that's the bottom line because Stephen Vitt said so. Take care.